Oh, dear Lord, the worst patch in ARPG history, the devs admit it, and now we have an avalanche of hotfixes coming right our way to make Diablo 4 a better game for you and me and my grandma. We're talking dungeon nerfs, class buffs, stash space increases, and a lot more. Listen, is this enough? And will we have more things coming on our way? Let's check it out. As we've called it in our last video, all of the nerfs to all the damage is all fine and dandy. Also, the nerfs to the experience game, but what about the actual HP and damage of the monsters? Because, alright, you can take down the numbers that players do, so we don't have like 36 zeros on the screen, but it still takes, doesn't take 36 zeros, but it does take quite a few zeros to get the monsters done. So what about that? And lo and behold, after the Friday campfire discussion that the devs had, they've announced a lot of changes. Some that are already in the game, such as the hotfixes to the dungeon nerfs. Now, you may already be aware of this, maybe you haven't leveled to get to the nightmare dungeons just yet, but to give a couple of examples and to quote the devs, what they've essentially added is nerfs so that, let's say, the overall tier 100 dungeon is equivalent to around tier level 70. So, to put it into perspective, Tier 35 has had everything nerfed, HP nerfed by 2% and damage that the monsters do by 1%. All the way up until Tier 35-ish, most things will remain the same. I think pretty much everybody was fine with that. Past level 35 in terms of nightmare dungeons, we will see more and more nerfs, like Tier 50 will have the HP reduced by 20% and the damage reduced by 13%. Going into Tier 70, HP reduced by 60% and damage reduced by 54, dude. 5-4. That's a lot of numbers. And if you think that's everything, you haven't seen tier 100, which has been nerfed by 82%. The HP of the monsters, that is, and the damage that they do by 79%. This is massive, massive, massive nerfs. Not to mention, these were coupled with a little bit of announcement, which we don't have a lot of data on, that they're going to add more endgame content to kind of compensate the lack of, I don't know, difficult content, although we'll see exactly what that is because we don't know yet. And with all of this, we have a lot of bug fixes that have been addressed, which seems to be 80% of every patch notes or news coming from the devs whatsoever. Listen, we love the game, and you obviously love the game too, at least to an extent, at least like a cousin that you cannot stand at family Thanksgivings. But there are bug fixes, maybe too many for a game as big as Diablo 4, or maybe games usually have these many bugs and the devs just fix them silently without actually posting them out. But now we know actually the bug fixes, but there's still a couple of bug fixes that are really, really nasty that still remain into the game, and they kind of mentioned they will be addressed either soon or in a patch. For instance, the necromancer bug is disgusting. This is probably one of the biggest bugs because it actually prevents you from putting points into imperfectly balanced, which is one of the first balances that you unlock in your skill tree. This is a bug that's also on the Eternal Realm, which is crazy because it's a good passive to have and you cannot put points in it. You can put 1 point in and it's debatable if it actually functions. I would imagine it does, but you cannot put additional points in. And from Adam's tweet, this is something that can only be fixed within an actual patch and not just like a hotfix overnight, which is crazy. It's crazy that we have passives that do not work. This is some 2004 private server stuff, man, that, you know, we used to have when people were just like cracking the games and things were not working. This is not supposed to be a live AAA premium priced game issue, but it's going to be addressed, so maybe that's a consolation. And there's also another bug, I think, for the quest called Fury Against the Fates, which the devs are also aware of it. Adam essentially tweeted as much, and it's still going to take a little while until it's fixed. There are some workarounds, apparently, changing some frame rate and some graphical settings, which is, you know, fine, but definitely not what people want, and it's a little bit of a shame. In a more positive note, there is something that has also been kind of semi-confirmed in a tweet, and that's about the world boss notification, which is something that we have mentioned a month ago or something, that we need some kind of notification when these events start, and we can kind of assume, based on their tweet back, that we're gonna have this eventually, which is great for quality of life and, you know, letting us, the players, engage in the content without having to constantly press M and scroll through the entire map, because obviously we don't have full zoom out on the map, because that's a totally different issue, by the way. But at least it's a first step in the right direction. And all of these changes, the majority of the changes and things that have been promised, like buffs to Sorcerer and Barbarian, have been announced at the campfire to be part of a bigger patch, the 1.1.1 patch, which is going to come with a lot of other features. For instance, finally, an extra stash tab on the stash. Jesus, yes, thank you so much. We probably will still need more, but this is great. This is fantastic. This is exactly what people have been asking for. More stash space would be great to have inventory, stash inventory tabs or anything like that. More space in the inventory, so I don't have to like constantly go to town and sell all my things because I'm going crazy. But that's definitely one of the cool things that's gonna happen. The other thing is the respec costs, man, because it's expensive. I wasn't particularly opposed to it because I do come from the fan base of, oh, I'm just gonna make another character, right? Which I think it's fine for a Diablo game. But I do understand the respec cost being extremely expensive, especially in the grand scheme of things of builds being changed mid-season where you're leveling your, I don't know, Barbarian, you're playing Hammer of the Ancients, it gets gutted, man! And then you cannot play it anymore, and you farmed all your legendaries, and you have to respec to do it all over again for, I don't know, Whirlwind or whatever, right? I think Riker made a good point of having these respecs be free for classes that undergo this, but that would probably be just annoying. So they're reducing the overall costs. Now, I think the example that we got is for level 100, 5.3 million gold to reset all skills and Paragon Board and everything like that, and it's gonna go down to a 2.6 million, which is more than 50% cost reduction in terms of respecking. I would imagine this scales across the board to all levels so that everybody can enjoy the reduced price of respecking, which I think it's great. I still like the fact that gold is a valuable resource and it actually matters, and it doesn't just get inflated like we have in Diablo 3, where you just have billions and gazillions of gold, and after you run a couple of vaults, you never have to worry about gold ever again. So gold being important is pretty cool. But all of these will be talked about in this week's campfire on patch 1.1.1. And it's going to be on the 28th, this Friday, 11 AM PDT. So stay tuned for that. They're going to probably talk a lot more about everything that's going to be coming in 1.1.1. Hopefully the buffs and nerfs, well, mostly buffs, honestly, at this point for Barbarian and Sorcerer, because we need to blast, man. We need to blast. I'm playing a Barbarian now, and it's kind of fun, and it doesn't do as much damage as my Necro, which is weird and also kind of expected. But hey, you can still play Necromancer still, even if it's stronger, you don't have to feel bad about it. And we have also a Blood Necromancer leveling build that you can check out, so you can have a more unorthodox leveling experience than just relying on pets and Sever and Bone Spear. Check it out, it's right here, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.